All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now we're going to talk about the rumors that swirled around relating to training camps going into this fight. Amanda Nunes specifically. We're talking about Cody Garbrandt, and we're going to talk about the fight business and the fight game with those two fights as the examples. Now, I talk a lot of nonsense on this channel, right? I say a lot of stuff. I do videos. Oh, I think people will click on this and whatever. It's rare that like I can try to make a coherent point about the fight game with very recent examples like I'm going to be able to do right now. And then we're going to start, though. We'll start with the rumors around Amanda Nunes' fight camp, right? Because that's what sure I'll title this. And here's the deal. The rumor was that she was not training very hard. Like she wasn't training, right? And, you know, I had no idea whether or not that was true. I had no idea why I should believe it or not believe it, whatever. But I will tell you this, it showed. If she wasn't training hard, it showed. Because in the second round, she looked sloppy. I mean, she was tired. You know, she was tired, obviously, in the second round. She got forced to grapple a little bit in the first. But you go, I mean, you know, she also had COVID, who knows? But I am very inclined to believe that she wasn't training very hard. And so think about this, right? Think about the fight with, you know, I mean, actually think about any of these recent fights that she didn't walk through the person in the first 90 seconds. Like she's got 5 rounds in her. You know, like that was abnormal for her to be that gassed. So it looks like that was true. And that's one thing. Now I want to talk about something much bigger than this though, right? Much bigger than whether she was in fight camp or not in fight camp. And I want to go back to, I realize now I do these videos right after events, like right when this stuff is fresh in my mind, like the emotional impact of an event that I just watched. And here's what I want to talk about. So I talk a lot about what this journey really is for these guys, right? Like what the experience is for them, the decisions that they make and the risks that they're taking and what it means for their life long-term and what it means for their life as it relates to the impact that a win or a loss will have, right? And I can't think of there ever being a fight card where you had the absolute prime examples of exact opposite ends of the spectrum on the same card, okay? Because the Cody Garbrandt loss and the Juliana Pena win, they are what we're talking about here. We're talking about the chase, like the thing, the dream, like the dream that these people, these fighters chase after. You're looking at what they're after and the risk they take, right? Like, and look, I'm not saying that Cody Garbrandt's his life's over or anything like that. But believe me, just when I break this down, you'll understand what I mean. Everyone is after the ultimate. They want to be the best in the world. But it's not just that. It is about that. It's about overcoming adversity. It's about believing in yourself where no one else believed in you, like Juliana Pena. No one believed she could win this fight. No one. She did. She did. And she believed she could be the world champion every single minute of every single day that she trained, day in, day out, grind, grind, grind. She could see that she was capable of being there and she always believed that she would be, right? And she got there tonight, right? Now in the long term, who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But tonight, she's the world champion and she beat Amanda Nunes, the greatest female fighter. Potentially, I mean, honestly, I was saying before the fight, can you say maybe Amanda Nunes is the greatest fighter of all time? She's defended her belt multiple times at both weight classes. She's annihilated every single comer. I mean, and if you think about the GOAT conversation, it's like, you know, okay, is Khabib the GOAT? He's 155 pounds. I mean, there's an army of heavyweights that would beat Khabib, right? So if we're breaking them out into weight classes, what's the difference, right? Well, she's a girl. Okay, well, Khabib's 155 pounds, right? And so that's who Juliana Pena beat tonight. And she beat her with grit too, man. She didn't get lucky. She outworked her. She outgrinded her. And then she put her out. The second that she took that fight to the ground, I said anybody on the live stream could say, I mean, I was nailing stuff tonight. I said O'Malley, I was like, there's something a little bit off about his striking. I mean, he's definitely better than this guy, but he's just a little bit off. I could just see it. And then after the fight, he's like, yeah, I couldn't train for 3 weeks. I almost pulled out of the fight. But the Nunes one, as soon as they went to the ground, I was like, she's too tired to defend this, dude. She's done. Like, this is she got a minute 40. Like, she's yeah, she's done. I mean, I know that look. I know that look very, very clearly, like how I feel in practice every day, where I'm like, I am too tired to defend this, and I'm out. But Julianna Peña did it. The pinnacle, right? Now, 2 years down the line, maybe she's lost 3 fights in a row, you know? And then at this point, she doesn't know what she's going to do. But right now, top of the mountain. Cody Garbrandt, right? Now, in order to chase that dream, right? So in order to take the journey and chase having that moment that Julianna Peña had, and I realize Cody has already been the champion. Believe me, I get it. That happened for him very early, surprising. People were like, why is he was only 10-0? Like, the journey was just starting for him. And then he got a title shot and he won a fight, right? Maybe has to do some with anyway. But so, like, it's not like he really reached the pinnacle like Julianna Peña just did. But what they give up in exchange for the honor of chasing that dream is the risk that at the end of all of it, they'll have nothing. Not just, but like, they won't have made enough money to retire. They won't have, I mean, all of them for the most part will not have any like normal job prospects. So they're going to go into the next phase of their life with a total question mark. Like, what the hell am I going to do with myself? Like, what am I going to do? Like, if I'm not this person, this single-minded warrior that's chasing this thing, and who am I and what am I going to do? You know? Now, if you're single and you've stayed disconnected your entire career because you are singularly after this thing, that makes it a little bit easier at least. Maybe. Or maybe you end up lonely and you're like, man, I wish I had a support system at this time in my life. But maybe you can go find whatever. But if you've got a family and you are one of the 95% that get done with their career without enough money to not have to worry about it, probably more than 95%, then there's a moment for everyone where they sit there and they face down the rest of their life not having any idea what they're going to do and who they are, okay? Now, when that kind of thing happens to you, in case you guys have not been following my channel for a long time, the reason I am equipped to discuss this particular topic is because where my passion was building, like, let's just say this. It's not in fighting, but I have chased the dream. I have taken the risk. Like, I've done it and I lost. And you can go watch, I mean, there's a documentary about it on my channel. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. And I lost. I know the risk that they take and I know what it feels like when you lose. And when you get it, when it happens for you, like if you're 38 years old, right? Like you're 38, you know, you lost your last fight, you know, you're looking at, you're like, there's no scenario where I'm going to end up being champion most likely, but I can kind of, you know, you ease into it, right? You ease into it. There's a moment during your career where you realize it's probably not going to happen. Like the champion thing probably won't happen. But I've got a lot of good fights in me. I'm making pretty good money. I don't really have to worry too much about it. I've got a good couple of years. We can start thinking about what I'm going to do next, and you ease into it, right? Now, it doesn't make it any easier when it's over, but it doesn't make it any harder, right? The difference, though, is if you're someone like Cody who tasted the top of the mountain, who knows what it is to be at the top of the mountain. So it wasn't even just a dream anymore. He was there just long enough to know what it is and feel that he's destined for that, that's where he's supposed to be, only to slip down and then slip down again. And each time that he slips, is when it starts to creep into his head, dude, if I don't pull it together, like this could go away. This thing that I believe in the deepest part of my bones, this is what I am. This is my destiny, to be a champion, to be a fighter. This is all I am. This is all I've ever known. This is what I am. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And the doubt creeps in. And that's what you saw in that Munoz fight. The way he fought against Munoz, that's what you saw right there, was the doubt. And it was like, it was so uncomfortable for him to think about, like, you know, I mean, the difference of how a fighter feels after a win versus after a loss is astronomical. I mean, your process between fights, if you're off a win, feels one way, off a loss feels completely different. Coming off 2 losses, having just been the champion, I can imagine what that felt like, and you saw it. He spazzed out. He completely spazzed out and started throwing like haymakers at Munoz, who's obviously very dangerous, and he knocked him out. And And then he has this moment where he's like, I need to change something, right? Like, I need to change something. I need to reset. I can still do this. I'm still this good, because he also gets to say, that was my fault. Like, I made a mistake there. I would have won that fight. I spazzed out. I just need to keep my brain under control and I'll be fine. Goes into the next fight and does really well and gets the win. He's like, okay, I am exactly what I always thought that I was, right? Then fights Rob Font and gets his ass kicked, right? Like, that was different than the other ones. That was the first time that he actually like lost. Like, it wasn't like he made a mistake and got caught. He got beaten, you know? He got beat. And then so now he's lost 3 out of 4 at 135. And now he's looking at it like, whoa, like, is this my life? Like, and this thing, it feels like it's slipping away for real. And it's like, yeah, but you can make 125. And he goes, I can make 125. And he's like, fresh start, right? And so the whole process while he's training and prepping for 125, all fresh. The journey's still there. It was just a fork in the road. Now I can go be the champion at 125 for the next however long. And it's still my destiny. And then when you start getting closer to the fight and you start really thinking about it, it's like, what if I lost this fight? Like, if I lose, like, yeah, I could do this. If I do well, if I win this fight at 25, I'm in a good spot. But if I lose, I might be like done. Like, I might be done. And it would be impossible for him not to have that in his mind. And the way he fought, I believe, demonstrated that. Because what it means to me when someone is throwing wild haymaker punches or fighting in a way that's not necessarily what he was doing here, and I'll talk about this in a second. What that looks like is like, that's like a desperate quick fix. It's like, I need to get this. You're not calm and confident enough to take your time, pick your shots, and know your spots are gonna come. You know, like, the haymakers and just start running and throwing bombs is like, I need to win this now so that I can get out of here before I fuck it up. Like, that's what that feels like to me. It's like, he's open, I can get it. And in this fight, right, the only question mark going into this fight, the only one, was, is his chin gonna hold up at 25? I mean, if you're a smart person, that was the only question. You know, is it possible that making this weight cut, he would take a medium level shot and it might rattle him or knock him out? And if that's, you know, like TJ, if that's not the case, then this guy's going to be really tough at 25. And what's crazy is his chin did hold up at 25. But that's beside the point. The fight starts, right? He's throwing his jab. He's throwing front kicks. He has total control of the distance. He's enormous. He looks huge. Right? He looks huge. And at the beginning of that fight, I said, anybody can testify to this on the live stream. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, if he continues to just work his jab and use that front kick, then, you know, this guy, the only thing that this guy can do is try to close distance fast with an overhand right. Like, what else is he going to do? He can either shoot or try to close distance with an overhand right. Like, he has no other choices. And then right after that, he threw his first, like, you know, barrel in overhand right, and Cody was easily got out of the way. And then all of a sudden, Cody's stopped throwing front kicks. He stopped throwing jabs, and he started trying to sit down on counters. He started sitting and waiting, right? He's waiting for him to come to him. Now, who's controlling distance at that point? If you're not throwing kicks and you're not throwing jabs, not you. You're just sitting there waiting in the pocket to try to hit a grand slam. You may as well be a batter, you know, like the way he was fighting there. You may as well been like up at the plate. Like, he's not fighting anymore. Now he's just waiting on a pitch he can hit, you know, versus leveraging the biggest strength you have at 25, which is that you're big as fuck, and you can control. I mean, if you run that fight 10 times and you have like, you know, like AI, you know, working it, and you make the AI like handle him with make sure he doesn't get hit with the overhand right, front kicks, jabs, keep the distance, circle out. What's the guy going to do? He would win. And Cody started trying to do that thing. You know, he wanted to solve it all at once, and he started sitting down, and he got caught. He got blasted. He ate it like a champ, but he got blasted. And he lost. And the thing is, so where Peña's at, the top of the world, The whole reason that you choose this life is for the moment that she's having right now. The whole entire reason you choose a life. And the entire reason that people would warn you against putting all your eggs in this basket is for the moment that Cody's having right now. Where he's like, there's no more story I can tell myself now. Like, I just got knocked out in the first round, handily, right? Like, I can't tell myself, oh, now I'll just go to 125 and this is I'll just go dominate down there. Like, there's no fig leaf to hide behind anymore. Am I a better fighter than I did? It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. So now, in addition to the fact that the crushing disappointment of not winning, now he's also hit with the avalanche of, so what are you going to do now, dude? You got a wife, you got a kid, maybe two, I don't know. Like, you got a family. Who are you if you're not Cody Garbrandt, the superstar UFC fighter? Like, who are you at that point? Like, who are you? It's Cody Garbrandt in BKFC. I'm not saying that he's going to get cut, and I'm not suggesting that he should get cut. I'm talking about his mind, right? I'm talking about his brain. It's like, because the UFC, Cody is an incredibly valuable asset that has a fucking psychological issue fighting, I believe. I really believe that. I think his skill set, I think if you went in the gym and watched him box, you'd be like, that guy is the crispest, smoothest boxer that I've ever seen training for mixed martial arts. It's a head thing for him, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, it just doesn't matter. And so that's what he's going through right now is this like, it's like the death of a child, except the child is you. It's like the identity that every fucking minute that you've been in the gym since you decided that you were going to be a professional fighter and you visualized your life, and like, whenever you go in there, the reason why you grind is so that you can be this person. And it's like, for the first time now that he lost and got knocked out at 25, it's like, well, who are you now? Who are you going to be now? If you're not, superstar fighters don't get knocked out 4 out of 5 fights, dude. Like, that's just is what it is. Like, and again, I want to make this very clear. He's young. He's very, very talented. I am not saying that his career is necessarily over. That's not my point. I'm talking about where he is mentally and emotionally right now. The lowest that a person can be is my point. You can't get lower than he is right now, how he feels. And so in this one card, you have the two absolute polar, you have the risk. This is what you're risking, finding yourself in this position. Now, I will say he's probably in a better position now than the person where this happens to, but here's the thing about it. Like I said, if it's gradual, when they're 38, 39 years old, at least they've had time to prepare. When it happens right now, like right at what should be your prime, and it's taken from you, that's violent. Like, that's violent. There's nothing fucking smooth about it. That's like a violent, deep trauma. And it's not the kind of thing that would seem normal to like go talk to like if you have like a kid die or something, you go talk to a fucking therapist about it. It's like real trauma that you need to like deal with. And I genuinely do not believe that this is different than that. But I don't think that people would even recognize it. I think they would just be like, I'm just really depressed and confused. You're like, dude, you just had your soul and identity torn out. Like, that just is what it is, man. It's like, it hurts my stomach thinking about how he feels right now. Because he's gonna wake up tomorrow and he's gonna feel the same or worse. It'll feel like a bad dream. And he's gonna wake up the next day. It's gonna be exactly the same. He's gonna wake up the next day, probably feel pretty similar. And I don't know what does the UFC do? What do they do? They can't just keep putting him in there, I don't know. I don't know what they do with him. She's so valuable. It's like, the UFC has to figure out a way. They have to figure out a way where guys like that, where they get them a fucking easy fight, man. You know, like they gotta do it. This is a waste of talent, dude. Like seriously, okay, like I'm off that. Now you guys understand the point that I was making. I'm off that now. Now I'm saying like the UFC has to figure out how to solve this problem, because I'm talking about for their business. I'm not just talking about for like these guys' like fucking feelings, man. Like this is a waste of talent. Like look at, and here's why I can say this the way that I'm saying it. Look at the guys that O'Malley has been fighting. Look at the guy O'Malley fought today. Okay, that guy was literally like, you couldn't have fucking carved a person out of clay that would be a more favorable matchup for O'Malley, right? Like that guy was in absolutely no danger ever of knocking out Sean O'Malley. And that's, I mean, so he's a vastly inferior striker against that's a tailor-picked opponent. And these guys who are superstars, Darren Till, Cody Garbrandt, let's just include Kevin Lee for conversation's sake. These guys get on skids and they're such big stars that they keep going in there against fucking Whitaker, Brunson, you know, and Garbrandt, TJ, fucking Munoz, who's a monster. You know, Sancio, Font. Like, I know that there's not a lot of easy fights at 35, but you gotta fucking start building these guys back up slower. You know, guys lose a couple, like, just fucking put them against a contender, dude. Seriously. Because, like, you know, let them stack up a couple victories over a couple months. Like, who cares? Like, seriously. Give them someone easy. You know? Give the person who knows they're the easy fight the opportunity to jump the ladder if they can pull it off. But give them easy fights. Like, because, again, what do you do with Garbrandt now? I mean, he should have won this fight. I mean, he should have won this fight. But I don't know. Congratulations to the winners, though. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Well, I mean, to whatever. Anyway, that's what I got for this video. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, tell your friends. Peace.